than by the live stream. Live stream are about 10 to 16, 17 audience, participants by audience.
Yeah, the good feature about the webcast is that it will stay there and other people can see it later if they didn't have the chance on the time that was transmitted live.
So thank you for joining, everybody. We are going to start in 1 minute for some more people are joining. Thank you. Ahí va a escribir el doctor. Okay, Arturo, we have about 53 participants. So would you like, we can start if you are.
Yeah, let's get started. Let's get started in you know, respect for the people who join.
Very good. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining the series of CIMMYT webinars for 2020. We welcome all of you from CIMMYT regional offices and headquarters that are joining today. I am pleased to introduce our speaker of today's webinar entitled From Product Concept to the Farmer Field, ASAP. Arturo Silva Hinojosa is the Commercial Seed Systems Manager at the Global Maize Program. He provides leadership for successful implementation of the CIMMYT maize seed systems teams across regions and projects, and negotiates with seed companies in order to strengthen maize seed systems, including identification of best bet products for target agro-ecologies and accelerated replacement of old or obsolete varieties with improved varieties. Silva Hinojosa also serves as a technical backstop for partners in the private sector related to CIMMYT varieties, designs and implements in partnership with seed companies, innovative methods for seed scale up and marketing of improved maize varieties by smaller to medium-sized seeds companies for enhanced impacts, as well as offers mentorship to seed company partners on seed business marketing and management. Silva Hinojosa holds a master business degree on general management from IE Business School at Madrid, Spain, and a sales and marketing specialization from INSEAD, and holds a bachelor degree on international business management from the Instituto Tecnologico de Monterrey. Dear Arturo, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Isabel, for your kind introduction. Good morning to colleagues here in America, and good evening and good night to the people in Africa and Asia. I see connected a lot of very good friends and people who are joining. So this is my first time I'm going to do something like this, and I'm really enthusiastic about this. I'm just going to talk a bit more about myself. I come from a very humble family of farmers here in the south of the state of Jalisco in Mexico, which by you know, farming technology and new varieties gave us access to better education and to better life standards, which then led to allowing the family members to better education and all of that. As you saw in the presentation of Isabel, I am actually not a scientist. I am a commercial person. My background is all about business, marketing, operations, and so far and so forth, legal also. But my passion is agriculture and really serving that person who feeds us 3 times a day. So you will see a lot of that in my presentation. Please allow me to share my screen and start with the presentation. Thank you all so much for joining. Let me make it presentation mode. Are you able, Isabel, please confirm?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, Arturo, we can see your full screen.
Thank you very much. So let's get started. So I would love to start first with a definition about seed marketing. In the time I've been collaborating with CIMMYT, it's almost 7 years. I have seen that, and even in the industry, there are lots of own definitions and own understandings about what is seed marketing and what is seed marketing, and most of it refers basically to just advertising, the caps that you wear, the shows at the expos and things like that. But marketing really takes care of the very beginning of before the birth of any product, to designing the product concepts or product profiles, to the very end of delivering the product to the farmer at the right time, in the right amount, at the right price. Here in the business we are talking about, we need to take into account that we can have all of the best fields with the best rainage or irrigation. We can have lack of disease presence, of the drought stress and all of that, and have the best conditions in our environment where we are going to plant. But if we don't have the right seed, the right genetics that are adapted to those conditions, we can fertilize, we can do lots of things. But if we don't have that, we won't be able to deliver a good yield and what is really expected out of a good crop. So moving forward, in order to understand each of the markets and how do we approach each one according to their needs, we need to segment. And basically is we need to look at the environment, we need to look at the customers, and out of that information we will be the best informed we will be able to make the best decisions in order to deliver the right products for those markets. So examples of that is how to drive the product development, how to develop a winning brand positioning in the marketplace. We need to brand our products to go there. Which part of the value chain to focus, face-to-face interactions. Yeah, that is possible when you have a very large farmer. But in the cases of the markets we are looking at or serving, this is not the case, and it's a huge number of farmers which we are not able to see face to face how we are going to do that effectively and reducing cost. what should be the right mix between the face-to-face and non-face-to-face interactions? How to best tailor our offers and solutions to the real needs of the farmers we are serving? What type of selling messages will convince farmers? Many of these farmers, the small-scale farmers, is people who is, very risk averse, and they don't really want to change anything. So how are we going to convince them that what we are delivering to them is better to what they are planting? Which is the best channel to approach them? So this is all about how we understand and shape the business choices, and how to really be successful at the end when we have spent so much time designing the product, breeding for it, and so that it doesn't stay in the shelf. It gets delivered to the final user, which is the farmer. So for this, data is key. We need to really gather the best data possible. Not many of the times do we have access to quality data, but it is best to make decisions on the data we have on hand and start refining that data to go forward and then improve on the product profiles we are designing. So we start with a given, in some countries we have excellent informations that is mostly on the more developed countries, but many countries in Africa, and it's very, very hard to obtain the numbers we require to really segment and understand how we are supposed to better approach, how to segment our efforts in breeding, which germplasm to use, in which combinations, to come out with the best product that will match the needs, and more important, the future needs and requirements that will be present in those areas. We're talking here a lot about climate change, so we need to also kind of replicate the crystal ball and take the best decisions towards what's coming next. And the farmer doesn't necessarily understand that or see what is coming, but we are here to deliver what will be required going forward. So product profile or product concept is the understanding of the dynamics of the product in order to showcase the best quality and maximum features of the product. In maize hybrids, throughout most that 95% of the market, the number one trait that is sought after is yield. But also, we need to take into consideration what are the needs of the customer, the use. We need to take into account what are those abiotic circumstances or that are present, the climate, the soil, the biotic, the diseases, pests, weeds, and also which are the adequate agronomic practices that will accompany those genetics and that will be adapted to those conditions so that we really extract the best of those products in those environments. Here I put together these slides because I wanted to give a brief overview of very different product concepts. Here in Mexico, we are collaborating with companies like ITESM and INNOVASEM, which are putting some efforts into hyperdensity. That's above 300,000 plants per hectare. Sounds crazy, but really, I look at this and this will give us insights and will help us have more clarity in that crystal ball that we need to have going forward. The potential of these, well, they have said that they are setting new world records and so far and so forth. But really, we are still understanding. I'm really happy to know people who is willing to risk and who is willing to experiment and see what is going to be required in the future to feed the growing population in this world. But let me give you another example. Before coming to CIMMYT, I was working in South Africa, in Africa, for Corteva. And at that time, Corteva, DuPont purchased the Pioneer brand, which was based, its base genetics was a lot coming from CIMMYT. And in some markets in South Africa, you have certain genetics that do yield very well in harsh conditions, but are also flexible and can adapt to improved conditions. In the high veld in South Africa, this kind of hybrid, like the one we're seeing in the picture, it's planted at a population of 18,000 plants. And it yielded, the conditions in that year were very good. It yielded 8.28. That's above any average of the country, of the countries we are working with the small scale farmers. So just thinking of this, what is that we need to better serve the needs of the farmers we are aiming to? And this is an example for Mexico in comparison to the United States. So the brown bar is from 1925 until 2009, the average yield over the years. And then you have the green line on the bottom of how much was Mexico yielding. And we have just crossed the 3 tons per hectare threshold a decade ago, a bit more than a decade ago. But you can see 3 of the states in Mexico which have used the technology hybrid seed. And you can very clearly see how much has that yield average from the time back in 1979 until 2009, that how much improvement does that have? And those are the states of Sinaloa, which is even challenging the US average yields at a very high cost. And you see the Bajío area with Guanajuato and Jalisco, which is all rain-fed. But these are clear examples of how technology adoption, the adoption of improved seeds, has delivered the promise of higher yields to the people. And then we need to think about the product strategy. What is that we're going to do in a given country in order to better serve the needs of that country? Here in Mexico, we produce all the breeding efforts were centered into white corn. And right now, the perception here is that white corn outyields all the time the yellow corn. So no real efforts were done into yellow, although in the United States, all those yields come from yellow corn. But here in Mexico, we are so certain that white corn doesn't outyield yellow. But what are we importing from the United States? That's all yellow maize. So if we have a surplus of white, we need to focus on improved genetics that can out-yield white and do not have a situation around yield disadvantage, so that people are eager to plant yellow, and so that we can substitute some of the imports. It is very important that the primary sector in a given country stays strong. Here in Mexico, my country, we're saying that no, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of land to be producing low value crops like maize, when you can produce avocados, when you can produce berries, when you can produce sugarcane. But what about those people who have not reached the best technology in maize and can improve their yields in their farmlands? And what about those people who are not connected to exporting markets of high value goods? If we are already using that land, let's make it more productive. And let's make that those persons who plant those hectares to obtain a better standard, a better income, so that they can educate their families better, give better access to services. A strong primary sector in any economy is a must in order to improve the overall economics in the country. So just a quick reminder of what requires to develop a hybrid from the product concept. You have a germplasm pool, you cross some of those lines, you generate a breeding population, you select some of those, and then do inbreeding and selection and obtain an inbred line that will be crossed with another one and that will be tested in a lot of sites. That information will support the advance of that product because it's being compared with the best you have and the best that's in the market. And that then can be advanced to a commercial hybrid and be launched to the companies. This I calculated by a successful hybrid from the very beginning to a commercial hybrid can take at least 0.65 million per successful commercial hybrid, and that takes 4 to 6 years. And so this is the rigorousness, and this is the kind of investment that CIMMYT, that the donors are putting into CIMMYT and giving us the opportunity to deliver improved products. This is the seriousness in which we need to take into account when designing the product concepts, so that we deliver what is required out there. Since 2010 that Masagro program started, we started putting great efforts into the tropical white hybrids. As you can see, the commercial checks in orange, we had a disadvantage, but immediately with the investment, we started gaining yield advantage and genetic gain. And by 2018, from a quarter of a ton disadvantage, we have more than 1 ton, 1.25 tons advantage in our tropical hybrid lineup. And what about subtropical? Subtropicals were the program was completely shut down, and we started from a lot of disadvantage. But with all the investment and efforts and you know, using the best tools, we managed to almost close that gap by 2018. and 2019 improved, and I was visiting some of these trials the day before yesterday, and we are really on pair. But you know, commercially, you would say we don't have the advantage. So what can we do there? There's also strategy in product portfolio in order to obtain share in the market. And this slide shows the probability of winning with a package of products versus one single product. So if you see that you have a prevailing product in the marketplace and you enter with a new hybrid, you only have 28 chances of winning. But if you already have two hybrids with the previous performance, with a diversity of conditions in the field, you will have 81% of chances of winning. And then, if you go 3-to-1, look where the actual hybrid stays. It has only 9% of chances of winning than, you know, if you just go against a package of products. And this is how strategy and how you work as a company in order to better showcase your products. Let me say this that I learned from one from my mentors. At product parity, your pricing, your go-to-market strategy, your brand is, and how to position and yourself in the minds of the farmer, that will give you the edge to introduce your products into the marketplace. You don't actually need a completely overwhelming product in order to go and penetrate the market. So in Mexico, with the Masagro maize consortium, we delivered those genetics to all of these companies. And just imagine, we were just talking about the 3 products against 1, but just look at the number of companies and the diversity and how can they market this and how they can position themselves in niche markets or bigger markets. And this is the power of the numbers. And how this is something that I learned when I first joined CIMMYT. I was looking at my first visit to Agua Fria station, and I was looking at the results of a blind test. And you see in number 1 and the entry 19 how the CIMMYT genetics were winning overwhelmingly in yield, the second the rent column, over all the commercial checks. And then the people from the companies, the commercial and breeders, made a blind test going through the harvested ears in the field, and they gave a like or not like to each of those. And you can see how overwhelmingly those CIMMYT genetics were appreciated by the companies. So what was missing to penetrate the market? And here is the situation. Seeing is believing. Planting seeds and the farming, it's a very human situation. But you will always have 2.5 of the people who are innovators. And they want to see something new. They want to test something new. In all of this effort, it's very important to identify who are those people. And that's a lot of effort that it requires to be done to identify them and to bring them to be your ambassadors. And then you have the early adopters who look after them. And then you have the early majority. And you, if you are already convincing them, you are already at 50% of the market. Don't look at the rest. Don't try to go to all the population. Focus on who are those 2.5, the innovators, and get them to like your brand, your genetics, your arguments. Make them be your product ambassadors. And then do field trials and all of that in a smart way, so that the cascading to the other segments happens as fast and as intensive as possible. We need to have the numbers to do that. The first map over there shows the maize hectares, but then you have to take into account land tenancy and how many farmers do farm those hectares there. And as example, in Chiapas, you have to look at the maize value chain. The cherry on the top of the pie is commercialization of grain. What does a better improved hybrid serve if you don't have the channel to properly commercialize and benefit from the higher yield you obtained? So that's another thing that you need to look after. And this is a by the book examples of fundamental approaches to the channel. And in the previous slide, you could see that there's also scarcity of channel to distribute the seed. So how are you going to go around that if you don't have a channel, or if the channel is already being taken by other brands? That's how you do a very selective effort and how to choose whom is going to be your spokesperson in those channels, in those communities where the farmers who farm those hectares live. And here we have the territory planning thing. So accomplishing objectives will require the right amount of efforts on the ground. Out of nothing comes nothing. Out of the same comes the same. We must very precisely plan what needs to be done in those territories. And what's that? We need to focus on how each territory can best serve its current potential. How are we going to shape the local coverage? How are we going to be close to those farmers? And it's impossible to be face to face with these kind of numbers. But that's an initiative that needs to be built from bottom up so that it really serves the purpose. If you start from up down, that will yield absolutely no results. And just by doing that, just by training the people who is going to promote the seed, to generate the demand in the marketplace, can increase the sales productivity by 10 to 20%. And I have seen this many times in the companies, small and medium companies are always focusing on the urgent, and they do not take enough time to look at the important. They are always the urgent, urgent, urgent. They don't strategize, they don't look that. And that cascades to the people in sales. If a sales representative of a given company who is promoting CIMMYT hybrids wakes up, goes to his pickup truck in the morning, and doesn't know what to do, you're lost. Our hybrids won't be properly commercialized and demanded because the job is not being done. And this is very important. As important as designing the product, as important as breeding for it. If we don't take care of this, the product won't permeate and won't go into the market. It won't be known by the farmer that's required. So this is a huge effort that we need to also focus. And we are always thinking that the companies do know this, but they don't do it. Many companies do not even take this into account. We need to have indexes, penetration, concentration, retention, market share. And the first efforts do not need to be perfect, but a start and really trying to integrate all these tools into a company will definitely yield results. And this is an example of the municipality in Villacorso in Chiapas of how to choose which are those influencers that we need to take into account in order to penetrate them, to spread the voice, to showcase, to plant those hybrids so that the early adopters look at those. We calculated this with databases and all of that, but this is just an example. In order for this to be successful, the companies need to do this and put efforts in order to make these people their spokespersons. And this is the methodology, again, by the book about influencer management, influencer strategy, mapping and categorization. That was the previous slide. Prioritization and relationship approach. Influencer needs, company value proposition. This is key. Current company performance goals. And that translates into influencer relationship management. Key influencer management, influencer fact sheet. What are those facts that I need to see in that person in order to be chosen to be my spokesperson? Account objectives, company roles. What do I do? What do you do? Action plan and milestones. Again, if I wake up in the morning and I don't have any clarity, what am I going to do? You're losing time. And feeding the world, we need to avoid losing time. Customer relationship management, activities by group. Group selling skills is very important. The calendar, the planning, the execution. What triggers varietal change? Again, we're talking about very, very human situation. And this is about visible performance on neighbor's farm. This is a survey that was done by a colleague in Africa, Peter Roussard. But this is the same everywhere. That's not only Africa. This is everywhere. But then we have the second one, recommended at the agro dealer. But what if the agro dealer was already purchased by some other brand? How are you going to avoid that? And of course, the least effective trigger of varietal change is low price. And I keep looking at companies that are just trying to penetrate via low price. And that's bad, bad, bad. Farmers won't trust you. We need to focus on those 20% of things that will make 80% of the results. What is the message we need to deliver, that spokesperson need to deliver? You have a base yield in your area. With improved genetics, you will almost double that. Adjusting, not only increasing, because I already gave the example in the beginning slide about planting density. What is the right density that will give you the best results in your area? It's also not about increasing fertilizer, because many of these farmers cannot afford to invest more. So whatever amount of fertilizer they're currently using needs to be put into the soil at the right time, at the best time that the plant will best use it in order to obtain a better yield. And of course, here's minimum tillage. And of course, that doesn't bring a lot of yield advantage, but those are practices that going forward will assure with better coverage of the past crop in the field, that you will have an insurance policy to obtain more level and to forget about those spikes in the yield advantage. What are those pull activities that generate the demand? Identify key needs and concerns. About that first comes with the market segmentation, product advancement trials, agronomic trials, hybrid positioning. And then we offer the solutions, demonstrating the value of our products in the field demo, field trips, expos, yield contests, extension partner, Maize doctor. But we do not only showcase and sell the product. The farmer wants to have someone side by side who can partner with, and that brings a lot of certainty and loyalty to any company who does that. The field visit, the troubleshooting, trials, data and info, seed replacement if germination fails, and post-harvest. Give them options about how to better market your harvest. And this is all centered with territory management and group selling skills. Here in Mexico, this is how we were beginning in 2014, 2016, and 2018. The orange color shows how we were increasing sales and penetrating with the CIMMYT products launched by Masagro. And this is 2019. So obsolete varieties were substituted. The impact is being achieved. We still have a lot to do, and a lot to do in many of the regions and many of the countries we're working for. So this is the sales increase over time since Masagro started. This is the clear evidence of impact. The consortium sales of the companies in the map you saw have increased by 78% since 2011. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arturo. Thank you very much for your kind presentation. There are a lot of comments in the chat box, and I don't know whether Dr. Prasanna would like to give because a few of them. Dr. Prasanna, if you would like to open your microphone.
Yes, Arturo, congratulations for an excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Especially when you started talking about the demand and what we can do in terms of working together with the seed companies. Those are really very, very important concepts that we need to escalate or scale up in other geographies too, significantly, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa target markets as well as South Asia markets. For example, the heat tolerant and the drought tolerant maize products now in South Asia need to adopt the approach that you have very successfully implemented under Masagro maize, especially in terms of market segmentation, territory planning, working together with the seed companies, stimulating demand for those climate resilient products. That's the real challenge. And unfortunately, we don't have many Arturos out there with that same passion. So what can we do to scale up the model that we have implemented in Masagro to other geographies? What's your perception? What can we do in Africa as well as in Asia?
My perception is we need to put some efforts into really putting together a manual and training a group of people into this. We have excellent breeders. We are working a lot right now in refining the already good product concepts we have, but we also need to put some efforts into a group of people that will work on this and make sure that they adapt all of these to their markets.
Excellent. So please do come up with an excellent manual on market segmentation, territory planning, how we can work with the small and medium enterprise seed companies in scaling up and deploying climate resilient and nutritional enriched maize varieties. That would be enormously impactful and would be highly complementary to the manuals that were authored earlier by John McRobert and colleagues. My second question is about product lifecycle management. This is not touched in your presentation. Many of the companies that we work with have very little understanding of how to phase out products, how to stimulate demand for a new product, how to staggeredly take up release and distribution of the varieties. That's something that we need to be really, really working very hard on if you need to have fast-track varietal turnover. So I think that has to be even further elaborated, Arturo. Unfortunately, your talk did not mention that, but can you give your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely.
How to do this?
Yeah, well, if you have a cash cow and we humans and our organizations, we are reluctant and we are risk averse. We don't want to change. We are already doing some money from a given variety that's very well accepted, and the not willing to move into new varieties depends on showing the data that will give you a better business case to change that variety. And that's about working together with the companies in comparing producibility of the products. Of course, not only the hybrids are advancing into the final yield advantage, but our lines are more producible. So the cost of the goods sold will decrease. And that's an incentive to change and to make better business. But also many of the companies do not have in place the business metrics that will allow them to see that swapping or moving forward into a product life cycle, into a more dynamic product life cycle will benefit their numbers as a business, as a company. So it's also about the metrics and the economics of the hybrid seed business that we need to work together with those companies. Many companies do not keep records of cost of goods sold or the producibility, and because the seed business is so good, it allows very many not so tweaked and exact numbers, and still is a business. But if we refine that, we'll be able to move into that.
Okay, good. But keep this in view when you author this manual about what are the best practices in terms of product life cycle management. Good. What are the do's and don'ts based on your very rich experience in private sector as well as now at CIMMYT? We need to come up with a nice approach towards this that is relevant for different jobs. Okay, that's it from my side, and I think Victor has some question. Victor, you can ask it.
Victor?
Yeah, take some. Well, basically what I've written there, I'm sure you've discussed this before, and I'm sure the answer is different depending on if we're talking about sub-Saharan African countries or Latin American, Central American countries. You know, where should CIMMYT stop enabling or making markets? You know, we're not a national economic development agency. We're an international agricultural research organization. So, you know, I mean, I'm sure one could argue, well, it's all very nice, dear Mexico, but if you can't get your act together to sustain your own small and medium-sized seed businesses, tough luck for you. You know, where does the responsibility stop? Also skills. Where do our skills stop? A lot of the things you described, they're fascinating. You know, it's great to see, you know, your early adopter stuff. Fantastic. That's actually normally, that's a business job, isn't it?
But that's where our duty as mentors to these small and medium enterprise seed companies, not only in terms of breeding, but ultimately,
so
if we
I'm
have
asking
to,
you, all right, where does it
Victor,
begin, or where
if
does
we
it
have
stop?
to see the impact of our products, we have the responsibility of educating based on the experiences of colleagues like Arturo. But your point is very well taken in terms of to what extent. To me, I think we need to carefully assess. We work with hundreds of seed companies across the 3 continents. There are some who do really make very good business decisions. They move very fast. Companies like Naseco, for instance, have grown very fast with our products. And they are now started expanding their markets, moving into Burundi, DR Congo, Rwanda, and so on, all based on CIMMYT hybrids. There are some which have just remained static for years, and they are absolutely dependent on some donor agencies to provide some stuff for them to just, no passion, no strong engagement, just to do the same stuff that you want to. So we need to stratify these companies, understand which companies are doing really well and have the passion to learn more, implement new innovations, and can make better impact. So let's not treat all the seed companies, small and medium enterprise seed companies, in the same thing. We need to stratify them. We need to have different approaches to different seed companies that have different levels of passion. All this will ultimately reflect on our own impacts. So especially in crops like maize.
Yeah, I agree with that. We need to have a graduation criteria, Victor. We need to give a chance to smaller companies. You know, a good seed business is dependent on a lot of very good knowledge and people who are very good at their own disciplines, finance, marketing, breeding, and so far and so forth. And the companies we are dealing with, sometimes it's a 2 or 3 man orchestra, and that's it. So we need to really try to approach those who have the willingness and the passion and help them. Of course, there are some that do not have that. We don't lose our time with that. And of course, are the ones that are already graduated from that. And we need to focus our efforts in improving other companies which will keep bringing in our products to the marketplace. I don't know if that's okay with you, Victor.
I don't want to monopolize the discussion. I'm sure there's no simple answer for this.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for getting back.
Thank you. Isabel, more questions?
Yes, we have a few more comments. We have one from Sara. Arturo, nice presentation. You touch on product profiles a little. How much do you suggest we strengthen our product profile work to inform and target breeding and trail development activities? What data is essential and what, in your experience, is the best mechanism to define and refine profiles?
Well, right now it's we already made a lot of work in refining those product profiles. From my knowledge, the profiles are okay. What we need to do is improve our statistical backup of how to obtain the best numbers and the best advancement criteria that will definitely and rigorously deliver the products that the product concepts that we already refined. So it's about focusing more on the statistical, on evaluation, on being the most efficient in how do we advance those measure and advance those genetics that will finally become part of those product concepts.
Thank you. Thank you. There is one more comment or question from Abu. What is the adoption tipping point to claim the new maize product as adopted by farmers as a product that gets a fair market share?
A very good performing product with a good marketing strategy will give you 25 to 33% of the market share. If you are to go above that, you already need to have best in kind marketing practices and also be able to define a product portfolio, which is another companion product or a second concept that will complement a number of hectares.
Thank you. Also, Dr. Kevin Pixley, if you would like to open your microphone, he has some comments in.
Hey, Arturo, thanks for stimulating presentation. My question is whether you think that SMEs, small and medium-sized seed companies, could actually form a network or a cooperative of SMEs so that they could jointly have enough of a portfolio to reach that 3-to-1 that you showed as crucial to have a high probability, and therefore work together, maybe under a logo of Agro Technology, but while preserving their individual company name on the bag. How would you see something like that working, or is it not possible?
Well, that's we proved that was possible. Kevin, at the very beginning of Masagro, I was not there, but people told me that the companies were very reluctant to work together, and they were growling at each other and making faces and stuff. And right now, after so many years of working together and looking at the synergies that can be built, and they are already waving tails and collaborating. And again, I was with Tanda the day before yesterday here in Los Altos, and there were 3 companies there present and making efforts together to advance and to collaborate. And we were even discussing about launching an improved brand, because some of these companies are being looked at as they are cheap price companies. How to relaunch? Do I need a new brand? Do I need to remarket myself and generate another bag with another name that's more appealing? So this is very, very possible and feasible, and we need to capture those synergies and really look after how do we make those happen.
Thank you so much. Well, there is.
Did I answer your question, Karen?
Yes, I think so, Arturo. I think this is a great opportunity and not as simple as it might sound, but
It's not simple.
we don't want to create another, well, I don't want to create another Bayer or Corteva or any of those. We would like these companies to thrive for our clients. And if it's possible, I think we should try it more. Keep pursuing such a model.
Yeah, that has to be navigated very politically correctly. If we form an alliance with only a very few companies, then other companies should not look at us as not as honest brokers. So yeah, the model is interesting, but we need to be very careful in how we execute the model so that other partners do not feel aggrieved. Yeah.
Agree.
Thank you. Also, Jason Donovan comments on Kevin's question that perhaps there is an opportunity for collaborating among SMEs, but there is also a competition among them. They are all fighting for 15% of the Mexican hybrid maize seed market. That's his comment. And Arturo, there are some other very few questions that are and comments in the chat. I will share them with you so you can, if you have some time, you can address them.
Definitely. I'll definitely come back to do we have all those questions? Please send them to me, and I'll be happy to answer those.
Yes, thank you so very much. If you have any final comment, Dr. Prasanna, Arturo, thank you.
I think it's a very, very important discussion, very, very important presentation. Of course, we can go on for hours to discuss about seed systems. There are no easy answers, but thanks a lot, Arturo, for stimulating the thinking and the discussion, which is already happening. But the challenges also are not only sustaining our models in Mexico beyond Masagro, and the partnerships that the foundation of partnerships that have been established that need to be sustained and even strengthened further. That to me is a very important goal. The second is to scale up these models into other geographies and adopt them as relevant, whether it is in Eastern and Southern Africa or South Asia. So lot of work and demand for you, Arturo. So please stay healthy, stay away from COVID, and serve CIMMYT well.
Yeah. Thank you everybody to join to the webinar, and I really feel there's a lot to be done in order to better serve our farmers. Let's be passionate about it, but also very, very targeted and not to disperse our efforts to really achieve the impact we require to. Thank you all very, very much for the opportunity to share this presentation with you.
Thank you, Arturo. Thank you very much for your very nice presentation. And the seminar is available at the CIMMYT webcast, and I will share with you the comments and the questions that were not addressed during this seminar. Thank you very much, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.